We sure can. Hi.
Hi. I think what we'll do is when people ask questions, I'm going to bring the camera to where people are at so you can see them.
Okay.
Okay? So everyone like your best, okay? I'm going to give an introduction to Frank, okay, for you and for the class. We're very happy to have Frank Moore here. We've already learned a little bit about him from the last class. I want to read to you something that Frank actually gave me last time I visited, and it's something that was published in Berkeley, and it was a lecture that was given at NYU. Richard Beck was the host from New Pathways in Performance in 1990. So I'm just going to read something from that as an introduction to you, Frank.
Okay.
This is in Frank's words. I always have a problem when someone who has not experienced one of our performances asks, well, what was your performance about? Within this question, there are a number of concepts about performance which are undermining limitations. I became sucked into performance not to tell stories, not to paint pictures for others to look at, not even to reveal something about myself or about the state of things, and certainly not for fame or fortune. It was simply the best way that I saw to create the intimate community which I, as a person, needed and that I thought society needed as an alternative to the personal isolation. So we've already talked a little bit about Frank's performance and how it relates to people of other bodies and how it relates to all of us, and I thought that was a good introduction from Frank in his words to describe a little bit about what he does. And I'm just going to give a quick biography, Frank, which you also wrote. This is from Frank. In the 1960s, Frank Moore first came to be known in the late 70s as the creator of the popular, infamous cabaret show, The Outrageous Beauty Revue. Moore is known as an artist who playfully explores beyond taboos. In the 1980s, he became one of the U.S.'s foremost performance artists. In 1985, Moore received a National Endowment for the Arts Fellowship for Performance Art. In 1992, he was voted Best Performance Artist by the San Francisco Bay Guardian. And in the 90s, he was actually targeted by Jesse Helms with 4 other performance artists. So between 92 and 99, Moore published and was the editor of the acclaimed underground zine, The Cherotic Evolutionary. Frank Moore has widely been published on the subjects of art, sexuality, magic, and cultural subversion. He also teaches and lectures on these subjects, such as in NYU. Annie Sprinkle, who's actually coming to the university, also lists Moore among one of her sexual or performance teachers. So right now, Frank actually runs a website, which you may or may have not looked at, aeroplay.com, and continues to be an arbiter for performance art in the Bay Area. He also has a 24/7 web station, www.lover.com.
Frank said you're on it right now. We're casting the audio now.
Oh, you are? Okay.
Yeah.
So we're actually going to be on. So sounds smart. So we're just going to start out, Frank. Is there anything you wanted to say before we started? We're just going to start with the students' questions based on your work, is what the assignment I gave them, based on any questions about performance art.
Who are T-A-K taking the C-O-C-L-A class? Who is taking the class for A, easy, R, E, requirement? Who is taking this class for an easy requirement?
Let's see hands.
This is definitely
So that's the response so far.
Who is taking the class for B, E, because they, you think U R A P, performance artist. Who is taking the class because you think you are a performance artist?
Oh no! I'm sorry. Okay, I got the screen went off. That's what that response was.
Did anybody raise their hand on that one?
There is one tentative hand.
Yeah, very good.
He's giggling at you.
What? Who is taking the class because they are a A-R-T artist? Who is taking the class because they are an artist?
Okay, we have 1, 2, 3, 4. Just 4?
Have W-O-N, wonder why the rest are taking the class.
Oh, so why? That's a good question. What's your answer? Communication.
It may not be a easy requirement, like you said before, but it's one of the 3 out of 4 possible classes that you can take as a requirement. So for communications,
Speak up.
did you hear me?
Can you hear him? Yes, we can hear you. Yeah.
Okay. There are 4 fields, and you have to take 3 of the introductory courses. One of them's in communications. One of them's interpersonal and organizational communications. One of them's performance studies. One of them's media and criticism, and the other one's rhetoric. So those are the 4 branches, and you have to take 3 out of 4 of the intro classes for the communication studies.
Oh, okay.
Was that a good enough answer?
Yes.
Okay.
U-S-E-E. You see what will H-A happen if you don't ask questions. I will ask you questions.
They actually have, each person has 5 questions for you. So there are enough questions for us to go for maybe as long as some of your performance pieces, maybe about 10 hours, but we actually only have about 1.
Okay, I have all day.
Okay. So who would like to go first? And I'm going to pipe in as you guys go along. I have a list of questions as well.
I want to know, as an
So say who you are.
my name's Brian Nibbles.
What's your major, Brian?
Right now I'm a mathematics BS and communications double major. And I was wondering, as an artist, who would you say is your biggest, or who are your biggest influence or influences?
I don't think I don't think like that. But I rip off Anna Halpern and Richard Schechner and living theater. Did you get all that? He said he doesn't think like that, but he ripped off stuff from Richard Schechner, Anna Halpern, and the Living Theater.
Who's Anna Halpern?
We don't know who Anna Halpern is.
She is a dancer. She's a dancer.
Okay.
That she developed the technique of D of S C O R I scoring D A dance. She developed the technique of scoring dance. She was very B-I-B-O, big in D-E, developing all kinds of C-O-M community. She was very big in developing all kinds of community. She is she's still doing it in her 80s, I think.
Wow. And then Schechner, who I actually met last year in New York, I was reading about how he was actually in one of your performances, which I didn't know, and then his influence on you and his in the environmental theater.
He was in a few performances of Frank's. Yes.
Well, I know he's a fan of yours as well.
They, in fact, the A-R-T, the art of a shaman, was written and read for an event that he was involved in setting up, and he was he attended Frank's segment when Frank had that lecture read. A-B-O-R, boring. C-O, conference. It was a boring week-long conference on the subversive art. A boring week-long conference on subversive art. I-T-H-O. I thought, how can they take something so interesting as subversive art and turn it into boring?
I think maybe that's what academia does.
Right. But I was the L.A., the last. Frank was one of the last presenters, so he came up with a way to subvert that. So he had the room set up into two places, and there was a cave set up in the room, and Frank was in the cave naked, lying on a mat. But people didn't know that. They didn't know what was going on in the cave because you couldn't see in the cave. And on the outside was a bunch of seats, and Mikey, who was sitting there, I think, naked also,
body painted
and chanting Frank's lecture, that art of a shaman. So, it took a long time. He sang it. And people were given the choice when they came in, they could either be safe and sit in that room and listen to the lecture, or they could take a risk and be blindfolded and led into the cave where they would meet Frank. And all through the lecture, there were those of us also naked and body painted that would go up to people and give them an opportunity to come in. And I think the room was set up so if you were interested in going in the cave,
a sign on each side.
you could sit under a sign that said that you want to be led into the cave, or you could sit in the
We had a
other
lecture
section.
sign and a performance sign.
A lecture side and a performance side. And
So
yeah, that's it.
So that's it. So one of the things that and this is sort of a generalization, but just with the performance piece that you described, is this hence risk involved with the audience, and the fact that the performance you do is not just you to be on stage, but the fact that it's not clear at some point who the audience members are and who their performers are.
Yes. They, in fact, we, P-L-A, we play, B-O, both are roles. We play, in fact, we play both roles. We meaning
So
all of us, everybody. We meaning all of us, everyone. Which, you know, the audience and the people that are, in quotes, the performers.
So I'm going to walk around a little bit and see who wants to ask another question. Okay, Frank?
Yes.
Okay. So I'm just going to walk around, whoever wants to ask. So why don't you come down, Dax, because I don't think I'm going to make it. Say your name, your major, and anything you want to say extra as well.
Cool. Hey Frank, I'm Dax Eden. I'm a communication media major here at Chapel Hill. It's awesome to meet you. And I had a question. We were given some links to some videos online, various ones of you, and a lot of them had you performing music. And I'm a musician myself, and so I was wondering what your thoughts are on music that could be considered contemporary or accessible, and whether or not you enjoy listening to music passively, or if to you it needs to be something that's kind of experienced as performance and that engages everybody, physically as well. And if you do enjoy listening to music passively, do you like music that follows a structure like pop or blues music, or do you only enjoy kinds of music that push boundaries and access sonic taboos, such as the more noise-oriented music and such?
Good question.
H-E, hey. You should listen to lover.com, because we play all kinds of music on. Have you checked out lover.com?
I haven't.
So that's the radio station that Frank started 10 years ago, and that's the mix plays on there a lot of the 24 hours in a day, and we have how many?
150,000 tracks.
About 150,000 tracks, and it's all genres. So that's Frank's taste in music. I do H-O-T
Hot wax.
And Frank has a show on Tuesday nights called Frank Spins Hot Wax, where he picks some of his favorite music, and
It's a lot of blues and R&B and pop, and I mean it's all
but
all
it's
over
everything.
the place.
But there's
all
a
over
lot
the
of
place.
that's he has a large
And
selection.
noise.
I-F-I-N. I find if I find a L-O, a lot of N-O, noise, B-O, boring.
So a lot of noise music.
Yes, he says he finds a lot of the noise music boring.
I'm gonna just push this button to record because I forgot to do that. If you just wait 1 second. Okay, there we go. So we're continuing with Frank Moore and Linda Mack in the Communication 160 class at UNC. Okay. So what other questions do you have? I have questions I want to add on, but I want to make sure that all of you are heard as well. Okay, can you come down, Claire? So just say your whole name, say your major, anything else you want to know that you want Frank to know about you?
Hi, I'm Claire Groh, and I'm a Communications and International Studies double major. And my question is more specifically on your work with Aeroplay, and I was wondering why you think people get more jealous or possessive when sex is involved as opposed to just Aeroplay, or what you described in your writing.
Because O-R-G, orgasm. S-E, sets. O, sets off. C-H-E, chemicals in the body. 2, P-R-O-M-O, promote. B-I-B-O-N, bonding. Because orgasm sets off chemicals in the body to promote bonding. And if other if other people, if other people feel, if other people feel, left out of that, bonding. That is where jealousy comes in.
So it's biological? That's like the reason?
Yes.
Societal.
Biological. It's biological, yes.
Thank you.
Who else would like to ask a question? Can I just come down?
I don't know where to go. Okay. Hello. I'm Larissa, and I'm a comm studies and studio art double major, and I'm also minoring in social and economic justice. And I also have a question about your work, Aeroplay. You say in the piece that Aeroplay decreases isolation and alienation. It increases self-trust and trusting of others. It makes you harder.
Oh, what just happened?
It's Boston.
How did that happen?
He's like, this question is
Bad.
Did you just, oh wait.
We just lost you, but we're back. Okay.
Well, I was afraid you disliked the question.
Yeah. So you were part way into it. So I guess you got to keep going.
Okay, I'll just. It's pretty quick. In Aeroplay, it says that Aeroplay decreases isolation and alienation. It increases self-trust and trusting of others, and it makes you harder to be controlled. And I was really struck by this idea of not being as easily controlled. Could you elaborate on that a little bit?
That is why they always try to isolate us. That is why they always try to isolate us. F-R-O, from, E-A, from each other. That is where, there, where we, where there, P-O, power comes from. That is where their power comes from, in isolating us from each other. They, that is why they, use, that is why they use C-E-N, censorship. That is why they use censorship, to keep us isolated from each other.
Cool. Thank you.
What else?
Does that answer her question?
Yeah, I think so.
What?
Yeah. Well,
Was there anything else?
So just
Because I was thinking when you were asking it about maybe something related to the craft of performance. Is that maybe part of what you were alluding to?
well, what I got from that answer is that your work sort of encourages this connection between people, regardless of what category they come from, and because that there's the solidarity of people getting together, that's why it's harder for the people that participate to be controlled. And is that sort of what? Yeah.
That's exactly it. Yes, and then to add to that, he said that's why they try to censor his work, for that, because of that, the environment that connects people.
Great. Well, keep it up.
It is not R-E, really, because of nudity. It's not really because of the nudity or the sexuality.
Yeah.
Although that's the way it's presented, but it's not really what it's about.
Good work.
You are into J-U-S, just.
Yeah.
No, J-U.
Justice.
Justice. You are into justice.
Yeah.
I think that is all. That is why you ask that question. He thinks that's why you asked that question. Yes.
Yeah.
What?
Thanks.
What would you do a P-E-R, a performance, W-I, with me, K-N-O, now, no, N-O, what?
K-N-O.
No, knowing what you know about my work. Would you do a performance with me knowing what you know about my work?
Yes. Absolutely.
Why?
I mean, I think for the reasons that we just talked about, you really encourage the solidarity among people, and also really strive for different ways to connect with people and to form relationships with them that are really meaningful. And that seems to be a lot of what this is about. And as a person who's studying activism and social economic justice, it becomes more and more evident that we need to all be working together to solve the issues of this world and the problems of this world. And I think your work really embodies that.
Yes. Yeah. But do you have a cam? Does she have a cam? Do you have a cam?
Like a video camera? A video camera?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because this opens a new possibility. This opens up a new possibility in in performance. This technology opens up a new possibility in performance. You and I could do a performance a private performance, you using this technology. You, then, you, this, there, no. You, there, and me here. You there and me here.
Yeah. Have you done this before, Frank? Or is this a new idea?
I think this is he just got this idea right now. Yeah, this is a new idea.
Okay. Okay.
Do.
Be awesome.
Do. Email. Do email me, he said, and then you can talk about that possibility.
I can give her your email.
That's great. Okay, great. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
SEC
Wants to be
Y. See how I work. He said, see how I work.
There are opportunities everywhere.
Yes.
I ask the next question.
I follow. He said, yes, I follow. What? What about? Yeah, he follows. This is an example of him following. He finds himself in this situation, which is a new situation, and then he immediately just like goes. What comes into his mind, he goes for it. And that's him following what's there in front of him and taking opportunities as he sees them.
And I think with performance, you never know exactly what's going to happen, and you have to do that.
Right. Yes.
Especially if that's the life you're living, is of performance.
Yes.
It's about the unexpected.
You could not, you could not, admit. You could not admit that. That would be one possibility, to just not admit the possibilities that are there and not follow them. But, yeah. B, O, R, but that's boring.
So who would like to answer?
Hi Frank, I'm Ian Morrison and I'm also a communications major.
Oh, you can.
I'm from California, down in Monterey Bay, I don't know if you know where that is.
Yes.
But my question is, how do you find inspiration, and if you are struggling for inspiration, what do you do? Because I find often when I'm struggling, that's when it's hardest to find it, obviously. I don't know where I'm going with this.
You want to? Yes. You just saw how you find inspiration. You just saw how Frank finds inspiration.
Okay, following just something that pops up?
By following and seeing opportunity. Like when he said you could ignore the opportunity, but that's boring. So when he's in a situation like he just demonstrated, he saw an opportunity and he grabbed it. So that's, yeah, J, A. It's jamming with life.
Okay. Well, thank you.
Okay.
Do you want to give an example or something, Ian? Talk about your project a little?
Well, I don't know, not really my project, but I like writing things and I kind of want to be some sort of writer in the future maybe, but oftentimes I have trouble getting started on a story, but once I get into it, it's easy, but finding something to write about I have trouble with.
P, R, E, T, pretend. It is not a story. Pretend it's not a story. Just write.
Okay. Thank you.
There's like that will open things up. That will open things up.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, let's see who's next. Who'd like to go next? Me. Okay, here comes another student.
Hi. My name is Boomy. I'm also a communication studies major, but I'm a psychology major as well. And I'm from Brooklyn, New York. I wanted to know what your relationship with your family was. I remember Shannon telling us that when you were younger, your brother used to cry when people made fun of you. So I wanted to know how they feel about your career as a performance artist.
That's a good question.
Yeah, let's see. Well, yeah, Frank's mom, who has passed away, was always very supportive. She came to performances, and here she was, this kind of older lady that had to sit on the floor on a pillow and watching Frank do the kinds of stuff he does, and her only comment afterwards was, I was a little uncomfortable on the pillow. You know, she just like, she was all, and one time, the LA thing, yeah, one time she came to a club in LA, I forget the name of the club, but anyway, it was
Anti-club?
What? The Anti-Club in downtown LA, real hardcore, and Frank was booked on a Saturday night, punk, hardcore punk club. This is in the 80s. And Frank was booked on a Saturday night, and at the time, the stuff we were doing involved Frank sitting on the stage alone, singing along to taped music, and that was pretty much it. And then once in a while, and he would be singing all these like corny message songs, like Walk a Mile in My Shoes and Sonny and Cher, and a couple times I came out dressed as Cher and we would do a Sonny and Cher song. That was the most accessible thing. You know, the rest of it, people just like didn't know what to make of it. And he'd sit there for like a half hour, an hour. And so at this club, the place was packed. It was a Saturday night, and there's, you know, Connie sitting there, like, I don't know, she's in her 70s. And the crowd was just shouting and throwing things at Frank, and they just were not into it, really giving him a hard time. But there were two punk guys in particular that were like yanking at his feet and his legs and just really giving him a hard time. Connie just sits there, you know. But Frank, on the other hand, he loves a challenge. And he had done a show in the 70s in San Francisco, 70s for 3.5 years, once a week, where we opened for all the big punk bands. And in that show, there was a whole cast of people that were very uptight about the audience throwing bones and cans at them. And so he was the director of the show. Frank sat in the corner front of the stage and just screamed and yelled back at the audience. And boy, did they shut up. So that was, you know, he was coming from that place, so he just kind of went right back at the audience. By the second song, they all got quiet. And I was in the dressing room getting ready for when I come out, and there was one of the bands that were playing later were saying, not knowing I was with Frank, "Oh my God, this guy is just horrible. Why did they let somebody like that out of the house?" And they, you know, they're just, you know. So by the third song, he has all these hardcore punks singing along with him and rocking back and forth. And the two guys that were giving him the hardest time slowly, gingerly worked their way up on the stage to, by the last couple of songs, they had adorned him with all their punk jewelry. He had spiked stuff on his neck and his arms, and they were giving him a shoulder massage as he sang his last song. And that same band came into the dressing room later in his set and was going, "That's the most amazing thing I've ever seen. This guy is amazing." So Connie sat through all that. Had no problem with any of it. Didn't come to his rescue because she knew Frank could handle himself. So she's always been supportive in a very low-key way. J-E, Jerry, Frank's brother. M2, and Frank's brother Jerry also. He did some of the workshops Frank did earlier in his life when they were in the same, you know, physical area. He did some of Frank's workshops. So D.A. Frank's dad was an Air Force man, a life Air Force guy, and they didn't have much of a relationship. I think he went through a lot of changes over Frank, just, you know, before he even became, when he was a kid, just not knowing how to really deal and relate to him.
Thank you.
Okay, yeah.
I like the story about the punks, definitely.
Okay.
Hi.
Hi.
My name's Kyla, and it's really great to meet you, and I really enjoyed that story. It was funny. I actually saw a picture of you guys dressed up as Sonny and Cher, and I thought that was really cool. But my question was, what are you working on now besides with one of our students? And if you're not working on anything now, what would you be interested in doing that you haven't done yet?
What have you in mind? What do you have in mind, you say? What do you have in mind?
I don't know. I was just curious about what you're doing. I don't have anything in mind. I'm a communications major, Spanish minor. It's kind of all new to me, but it's really interesting.
I-S-T-A-R-T started a series. No, A-S as a C, communications. Frank started as a communications major in college. B, E, B, W, A, R, E, beware. Beware. I am doing a series. Frank started a series in February, a monthly series called Reality Playings, where he improvs based on who's in the audience. It's a 3-hour thing, and he usually invites musicians, and we have instruments set up for people that he gets from the audience to get involved. And I always am doing something. D, A, D-A, no, in, on, S, H, S-U, N.
Sunday nights.
On Sunday nights, Frank does a live show on lover.com, which usually he has a guest on that he'll interview, and they'll perform, poets, musicians, politicians. L, I, that's live on Lover. V, I, that's a live video show. Sunday nights at 8 p.m. Pacific time.
So it's all kind of improv now, like you're doing a lot of improv work and stuff, like a live show on Sundays.
The Sunday is more like kind of like a talk show in a very expanded sense, where Frank is the host. So it's more spotlighted on the person that's the guest is it's spotlighted on. The thing that he's doing as a monthly series is more his art, and that is definitely an improv situation.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, thank you. It was great to talk to you guys.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. Who's next? Okay, here comes another student. Hey, my name is Sarah Hagler. I'm from Winston-Salem, North Carolina, and I'm a communications studies with a concentration in speech and hearing sciences major. And my question is, how are you first introduced to this idea of performance art, and why did you decide to pursue it as a career? That's a good question.
What is a career?
How do you define that? I guess something that you enjoy doing, that you spend your life working on or working towards your goals.
That is P-A-S. That's passion. Not a career. C-A. Career is for M-O. Career is for money. There is no money in art.
Sad.
I-R-E. I read. B. I read books. Like T-Y. No, like not. Like T H, the, E, A, theater of, V, C, R, U, S, cruelty. I read books like Theater of Cruelty, and A, N, Anna Halpern's book. Not, no. Y, E, A, years before I, S, T, started doing the art. Years before he started doing the art, he read books like Theater of Cruelty and Anna Halpern's, one of Anna Halpern's books. And F, I, L, film, M, A, making, and you read filmmaking books also. But all, K, all kinds of books, all kinds of books. A, S, O. So when I was ready and looking for an avenue to pursue, all that was in my back brain. I don't have I don't have goals. Goals get in the way.
No, okay.
Thank you.
I remember you saying this before, Frank, this idea that you don't choose to do the things that you undertake, so running for president necessarily, or certain performances that you engage in. And I was wondering if you could just talk a little bit more about this sort of transcendent state that happens within your work as a shaman and a healer, and maybe even in relation to some of the things that Larissa said as far as social justice. Is it too much?
I cannot C-R-E-A. I cannot create. M-O-R-E, more. R-I-C, rich. L-O-I, life. B, by, P, L, A, planning, B, U, by planning, by having, P, I, pictures. I cannot create a more rich life by planning, by having pictures, than the life that you have and have had up to this point. B, by following. Yeah, so did you get that so far? He said he couldn't create a richer life than he has and has had by planning or by having pictures. That wouldn't bring him a richer life than he has and has had just by following what's right there in front of him. So that whole idea of not having goals, that would get in the way. Because, you know, if something happens like that whole presidency thing or any of the things we've done, you know, if he had some idea about what it was supposed to look like, his art and where he was going, he would not even maybe have noticed the opportunity, certainly not have taken it because it would have gotten in the way. Tell them about the presidency thing. I mean, there's so many stories. Everything we've done, there's a story attached to, like the OBR, there's a story attached to that. Everything we've done, you know, particularly these large chunks of things, and a lot of our life really is in large chunks because we spent like 3.5 years doing the Outrageous Beauty Review in the late 70s, early 80s, which, you know, was a really, you know, it's an important segment in what we did in terms of that creating richness and everything. That was totally an accident. We did one show, it was packed, the guy that was producing it, that was his club, came up to us in the middle of the show and said, "Frank, announce it's a weekly." And like meanwhile, Frank was deep into rehearsals for the play Lysistrata, which he had spent a long time rewriting to bring back the lustiness of the original work. We'd been spending months rehearsing it. He had a whole big cast together. And yet he made the announcement, never did the play, did 3.5 years of the Outrageous Beauty Review, which in some ways, you know, was like a major base to things that have followed. Running for president started as a t-shirt. Mikey had a t-shirt that said "Curly for President" from the Three Stooges. And we said, wouldn't it be fun, this was like 2 years before the election, to make a t-shirt for Frank that said "Frank Moore for President," for like a birthday present or something. So Mikey, who's a graphic designer, designs what turned out to be the logo for the campaign of Frank on a t-shirt. So Frank starts wearing this t-shirt and people say, "Oh, what's your platform?" So again, Frank's flexible. After enough people asked him that, he sat down and typed up a platform. Like many people, and I've seen him do this over and over and over again, would think, why is he putting so much time into it? And he put everything he had into it. He came up with this amazing platform that we're seeing and reading now, major people incorporating segments of his platform, which we knew this was the way it works. And people were so turned on by his platform and so, okay, he types it up, it's typewritten sheets, and everybody wants a copy of it. Okay, we'll print it out on a printer and make it a brochure. Next thing you know, we're getting all this international publicity and Frank is running for president. And we've got him on as a qualified write-in candidate in 25 states. That's what we did for 2 years. We had no plans to do that. Everything else kind of went on hold. We reached a lot of people and really, I think, opened up what Frank does to a lot of people that wouldn't have been involved because it came through the political thing. And they were so turned on by his ideas that they got to know Frank more in whatever capacity. So everything we've done has been like that, where he takes something, it seems like it's just something it's just this little thing, but he follows it and gives it everything he's got, and it turns into something.
So we are almost out of time, unfortunately. I don't know how the time, I feel like it completely flew by. Do you have any closing thoughts for us, Frank, or anything that you would like to tell the class before we go?
We could.
Well, our class is about an hour and 15 minutes.
Well, he's talking about something that would be like outside of this class for those that were interested, that we could schedule something like that.
Okay, maybe we can maybe we can continue that discussion next time then.
Yes.
Yeah. I feel like the students didn't get a chance. All of them that had the questions didn't get a chance to ask you. So maybe the students that are interested, is it okay if they email you?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much, Frank. And
Yeah.
thank you, Linda and Mikey.
Yeah.
Let's just give them a hand for taking the time to
And
speak to us
and
and go through all this trouble.
email me about our performance. And he's also saying email Frank about the performance. You right there. Yeah.
Pointing to you.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll be in touch.
Okay.
Have a wonderful day. Thank you so much.
Yeah,
Again.
it was fun. Okay.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Bye. And I'm going to have this on audio. I can tell you where it's going to be posted when I post it.
Great. Okay.
Okay.
All right. Okay. Bye-bye.
Later.
Okay.